Hello, parents. It's Mr. Height from Gifted Honors English. And at the end, as this is the end of the marking period, I want to take a few minutes to address how we do grades here in Gifted Honors English, this gradeless system. Now, I know that at the beginning of the year, in late August, I did send home to you a packet. The packet looks like this. Starts with Dear Students and Parents, and it has a whole layout of the system and how we do it, and also the learning targets for the year. So it's kind of involved. So I thought what I would do is just not burden you with having to read that and present in this way. So the key thing that I want you to take away here is that in 28 years as a teacher, I have learned a lot. Perhaps some might say I've learned too much, but one of the things that I've learned, and I learned it too late actually, is that grading is not an evidence-based practice. There is no evidence that it actually has a net positive effect on learning beyond perhaps keeping things at the level of the status quo. Instead, there is evidence that it's stress-inducing. It causes mental and physical harm for many children. It's inequitable, even within schools and even within classrooms. And in general, it does little to indicate anything about how and why a person knows anything. If you'd like more evidence on that, I can back that up. I can put some stuff in the list below this video. Just let me know. You know where to find me. Now, I'm far from the only one who is seeking to do something like this gradeless system. This past Friday, 3 of my former students were part of an international ed camp, which is like a teacher professional development, and it was on ungrading. And my students spoke about their insights into and how gradelessness changed them for the better in terms of the way that they work now and in college and wherever they happen to be. So there's a link to that down below as well. But my gradeless, you might even say pointless system, while it's still evolving, it seeks to ameliorate the harms of grading while increasing feedback and coaching in writing, reading, and speaking and listening. And feedback, this is where the evidence for this kind of system comes in. We know that feedback, timely feedback, is actually what moves writers, readers, speakers, and listeners, anybody. It's what moves them forward. And so the first marking period is always a little bit slow start, getting our community built, founding it on a culture of gradelessness, feedback over grades. It's not an easy thing. So in lieu of deferring to grades in the grade book, which tells me little other than whether or not a student has done the work, what I've decided to do this year is go back to the gradeless system and how I used it prior to the pandemic. And there we used Google Spaces and we created digital portfolios. And these digital portfolios represent what I would say are sort of like digital containers that hold evidence and arguments for why a student is choosing a certain grade. So let me give you a little bit of insight into what this looks like, because your child has created one of these, and I want to point out to you how you can go about sort of like looking at this thing. So here's a former student. He's also one of the students who was on the ungrading Zoom chat. So Kyle Moe. So Kyle has a section for reading, writing, speaking, and listening, and he's also provided some other examples. And he also has a summary or an overview section. So if I click on the overview section, now this is Kyle's end of the year portfolio. So at the beginning of the year, he would have only had marking period 1, but he now has all the way through marking period 4. So this shows growth over time. Learning is about growth. It is not about getting a label stamped on you. That's for meat. And I don't think that children are pieces of meat. So let's take a look at how Kyle made an argument for his A for the year in terms of using evidence and writing in various modes. So Kyle over here has written a poem, and he's written a reflection on how that poem helps prove that he can write in various modes. Kyle also had a blog that he kept, and here is an argument essay that Kyle wrote on his blog on the Common Core. and that was writing a digital argumentative essay. He also wrote a personal essay, which is writing in another mode, in January of 2019 when I had him. And then he also cited more in his blog down here. So as you can see, Kyle has used this digital portfolio as a container. The container contains evidence, and each piece of evidence has a small argument. Those arguments work together to support the choice of a certain grade. Kyle was choosing an A, so he had to demonstrate a high level of understanding of the concepts that we were going for in reading, writing, and speaking and listening. He had to exhibit novel and insightful or creative ways to do that. He's writing poems, he's writing personal narratives. He kept a blog. Even the entire portfolio itself is beautifully put together. And so you can see that. The other grades that students can choose are B's and C's. There are no D's or F's in my class. The only thing that a student could possibly get if they are not prepared at the end of a marking period is an incomplete. And an incomplete means you have 2 weeks to pull things together and to make the argument for your grade. So seriously, that's about it. I know it's a little bit longer than I wanted it to be, but if you have any questions, please reach out to me, gheight@pvsd.org. I'll put, again, links down below so you can check out things. I'll even put some further evidence and some blog posts that I have written. And I hope you enjoyed this learning journey. Ask your children if you can see their digital portfolios. They're nothing like Kyle's right now. That's 4 marking periods worth of work from Kyle, but they will get there. I promise you, and you will be astounded. And astonishment is the only reason I'm still here after 28 years, because I am astonished every day by the students, by your children. Thank you very much.